I'm on my Limitless ship for Matchday 3. Let's have a look at the squad that I'm going with, why I'm going for that squad, which captains I'm going to pick on each of the days too, and some of the risks that we might be able to afford to take with our Limitless team. Let's get into the video. Okay, so as I mentioned, welcome to this video on my Limitless team. Just a quick apology, there's not going to be many fancy graphics or editing in this video. It's just going to be me waffling through, unscripted, going through my Limitless team. I've waited as long as possible to make this video just because I wanted to get all the information around who is going to have something to play for and which teams are likely to rotate to. So first of all, what is the Limitless chip? Well, the Limitless chip means that basically you can pick whatever team you want, unlimited budget, for 1 week only, and then the week after your team will go back to what it was the previous week. However, we do get unlimited transfers in the round of 16 too. So basically, you're going to be picking whatever team you want in the round of 16. So the bit about it going back to his original team won't really matter if you're playing your Limitless in match day 3. So what are some of the considerations with the rotation, first of all, with this Limitless chip? Now, there's two ways of playing this. You can either go for all teams that have got something to play for, you know they're going to play their strongest teams we've been seeing in the tournament so far. Or do you try and get an advantage on some of the less engaged managers by going for teams that are going to rotate? So it's teams like Spain, Germany, Portugal already won the group. So could we try and guess which rotation players they are going to choose and use that as a real advantage to our teams? Now, that is obviously a high risk strategy because these squads are big. We don't actually know who will get rotated and who will not. It's all a bit of a guessing game. So as you can imagine, the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. Now, I have actually probably on that scale of things actually gone more towards the risky side of things. So if you are using this video as a sort of a template to your team and you don't want to go that far risky, then I will talk about a couple of the options that you might want to scale back in terms of the risk to go for someone who might be a little bit safer. So let's start off with the goalkeeper choices. Now, I've gone with David Raya. There was some news that was circulating last night that Spain are going to fully rotate their team. It seems going to be mass changes, and it did say directly that David Raya is looking like he's in line to start. So for me, playing Albania, one of the highest clean sheet percentage likelihoods as well, it just feels a no-brainer to get David Raya into the team. Then the other goalkeeper that I've gone with is Maignan of France. France have looked really solid defensively in this tournament. So, hey, let's try and get another clean sheet out of them. And they've got something to play for. So we know it's a game that they are going to be taking seriously. Moving on to the defence. So let's first start off with Grimaldo. Again, I think he's an attacking left back. A lot of us actually expected him to start during the tournament. And Cucurella actually got that left back place. But with that mass rotation, it feels like that Grimaldo will come in again. So capitalising on that good fixture against Spain. Next up, we've gone with Gehi of England. Now, this is two reasons, really. Gehi's been really good with and consistent with the ball recovery so far. So it kind of hires the floor. You know, even if England concede, you might get 4 points, which might be enough to actually keep him in your team. Happened to me with DeMarco this week. He had 4 points, which was actually a decent enough return for him to stay in my team. So picking out the players that are going to get those ball recoveries, I think, are just as important as picking out those players that you think are going to get attacking returns from defence. And they're actually a more consistent way of getting points is by trying to pick out these players and ball recoveries than who might score or assist. And then onto that is why I've actually gone with Saliba. Theo Hernandez, obviously, I'm not going to stop you from going for Theo Hernandez, but I've gone with William Saliba again, just because I think he's someone who could get a consistent amount of ball recoveries. I don't think Poland will be the easiest of games still for France, and he still could have some defensive work to do, which hopefully will translate into some ball recoveries. But if you fancy Theo Hernandez over William Saliba, then I would completely understand you making that decision. And then I've gone with the Germany defender in here. I mean, the crucial thing about Germany is they play on the first day of the match day. We are going to know the team news for Germany. We're also going to know the team news for Switzerland. We're going to know the team news for Scotland and Hungary too. But if we want to get some German players in our team, we can use that team news to our advantage. So Mittelstadt will basically be whichever German defender I am most happiest with when the team news comes out. Now, Mittelstadt is actually impressed. So even though it's a Limitless chip and he's only 4 million in the game, I'm still going to want Mittelstadt in there because of how good he has looked and been for our teams, particularly in the match day just gone. And that last defender that I want to talk about is Nelson Semedo. Now, this is one of those risky slots that I was talking about earlier. If you feel like this is too much risk, then obviously you could pick someone with something to play for and someone you know who is more likely to play. But Nelson Semedo has come on for the last twice in in the first 2 days of the match day. I would expect Portugal to rotate heavily. They got a pretty reasonably good fixture playing Georgia too, arguably the best fixture in the match day. So that is why he's in there. I kind of want that defensive coverage because it does feel like a game where Portugal could keep a clean sheet. And my gut is that Semedo is probably the most likely to start out of all of the defensive options that I can choose anyway. Now, you may see me sat here in a Wolves shirt and think this is complete bias. Maybe it is. I've also got Pedro Neto with my team as well. So we will get onto that when that comes around. But I just think that Nelson Semedo is going to start for Portugal. Okay, so on to the midfield slots now. Now, this actually was the hardest bit to put together of the team. I was actually really struggling to pick 5 midfielders, which is why I will start off continuing on the Portugal theme. I actually ended up with Pedro Neto in this squad because I thought, do you know what? Let's just go for a risky pick. I'm struggling to pick anyone decent in this squad anyway to fill up these midfield slots. The other people I were considering, just for reference, were Szoboszlai and Ericsson, both with stuff to play for, and we'll know if Szoboszlai is going to play in match day 1 when we get the deadline news. So that did feel really tempting to go for Szoboszlai, but I just fancied Pedro Neto. Just for the attacking threat, playing Georgia. If he starts, that could be one of the biggest differentials in the game, I think. So that is why we have gone with him. It is risky, and that is one of those slots that I mentioned earlier that I would actually look to tone back if you were concerned about the risk going with Pedro Neto. Go for one of those options that I mentioned previously. But we just know how attacking he is. We know how many assists he got for Wolves this season. It just feels like a really good opportunity to play a bit of a differential. So enough about Pedro Neto. On to Oyarzabal of Spain. Now, he is one that I think will start for Spain. I've seen him in a lot of predicted teams. The good thing about him is he could actually be playing as an outer position striker instead of playing in midfield on the wing. We've seen him come on for Morata twice in the game so far, which leads me to believe that he could actually play through the middle. If not, I'm pretty confident that he will still get a slot on the wing, even if he doesn't play in that position. So that is why I've got him in the team. Now, Jude Bellingham, it was a bit of a toss-up between Bellingham, Foden and Saka, and it probably all deals down to personal preference on this. I felt like Bellingham might be slightly better for ball recoveries, particularly if he ends up playing a deeper role, because obviously Southgate's under a lot of pressure from outside sources to sort of maybe drop Bellingham a bit deeper, play Foden in the 10, bring in a more traditional left winger into the side. So if Bellingham plays a bit deeper, might hamper him from a sort of goal scoring perspective, but it's Slovenia, so I would still expect him to get forward. Well, I say that it is Southgate, so maybe not, but I do think that will increase his likelihood of getting ball recoveries. So that is why I've gone with Bellingham, and we've also seen the score already this tournament, so we know he's got a bit of form about him. Again, Gundogan, he was fantastic. He was my captain in match day 2. He would be one that I'm just going to wait and see which Germany players come out of it from the starting 11. Could end up being Sane, could end up being Musiala, Wirtz, whoever I fancy when the news comes out. That will be whoever that German midfielder is. And then finally on to Kevin De Bruyne, who scored last night, picked up the player of the match too. Belgium have got it all to play for, so Belgium coverage is essential. You could argue that this team is a little bit light on Belgium coverage because of the fact that, they've got something to play for. Maybe I should have a Lukaku in this team, maybe a Belgium defender. Although I would still think that maybe Ukraine are likely to bag a goal. That group is really interesting in the way that it is panning out. So, I'm going to go with one Belgium defender. So when I'm mentioning earlier about, that's a bit risky, who could I bring in instead? Maybe if you don't want a risky pick, you could bring in a Belgian player instead. The forward line. And as I discussed earlier, Jota, these are these high risk, high reward picks going for these Portugal players. Just on Portugal, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of teams out there, a lot of teams from other content creators not maybe taking the risk around going for Portugal players, playing it a bit safe. So if you are feeling like you want to take some risks to catch up, maybe not at the best of starts, maybe you're just thinking it's a fun game at the end of the day, let's take some risks, have some excitement, then Portugal players I think are the way to do that. So Jota's got 2 positions that he could play in, which does sort of lend into his hand quite nicely. So Rafael Leao is he's suspended, so he is out for match day 3. So Jota could slot in on that left wing position, or he could come in for Ronaldo down the middle. So there's 2 places where he could play, which means that it feels like really high chance that Jota will start because of those reasons. As I said though earlier, the team is a bit light on Belgian players, and if you are someone who's worried about the rotation risks, you want to play a bit safer. Jota is definitely one of those unknown positions in this team, so you could bring in Lukaku instead, who has been probably the most unlucky player in the whole of Euro 24 so far. Next up, we've gone with Harry Kane. Harry Kane is in here. I mean, I know England haven't looked good from an attacking perspective, but at the end of the day, this is the fixture against Slovenia. England will be expected to win, even if they have been poor. He is the penalty taker. Yeah, I think Harry Kane will have a bit of a point to prove as well. He's had a bit of stick in the press coming off the back of Matchday 2. So maybe he will have a bit of fire in his belly and could well see him return to getting some more goals. And then finally, the injured, as it's flagged here currently, Mbappe. Now, what is the latest news on Mbappe? Mbappe apparently played a behind closed door friendly where he scored twice, got a couple of assists, was wearing his mask. He played 60 minutes in that. So it kind of feels like he is going to be available to play for Matchday 3. And this is a crucial game for France. They're already qualified, but if they want to get the easier fixture, then they need to win the group. And that is still well up for grabs because they're currently level on points, level on goal difference with the Netherlands. Now, in the Euros, it's head-to-head rather than goal difference that makes the difference between the positions. So here, actually, because France and Netherlands drew, it does actually then go back to goal difference where they have a level goal difference. So France are actually going to need to potentially score some goals to make sure that they finish top of that group. So that is why I've gone with Kylian Mbappe. My gut is he's going to be available to play. Okay, and then a quick run through the captains. You'll have seen them on the screen here anyway, as I have been talking through. 23rd of June will be whichever German midfielder I choose in my team. At the moment, it is Gundogan, could be Wirtz, could be Musiala, could be Sane. We don't know yet, but it'll be one of those. 24th of June is a bit of a tricky one because, there's Spain and Italy, which we might go for from our teams. I haven't gone with any Italians in this draft, and this is where the risk comes in because of the rotation. We don't know if Oyarzabal is going to play. We don't know if Grimaldo is going to play. So that is where the risk comes in. It does feel reasonably strongly likely that Raya is going to play there. So if the worst comes to it, I will captain Raya. And as I mentioned, we're going to know the team news when we're making our captains. So if I have to go with Raya, he could well keep a clean sheet. So I'm happy to go Raya if it comes to it on that day. 25th of June will be Mbappe if he is available. If not, England play the same day as well, so got plenty of other options to go with there. And I'd probably go for Jude Bellingham. Just try to maximise those ceilings a bit with trying to get ball recoveries, maybe an extra point for a clean sheet, shots from outside the box for goals, etc. Extra points for goals. That's why I kind of like backing these midfielders where I can. So I'd probably go for Bellingham if Mbappe isn't available. And then finally, on that last day, this will again will very much likely come down to the team news, but I would be looking to captain Diogo Jota. So that is my team as it currently stands. I'm like 99% locked in with this team, apart from the bits that I've mentioned around Germany. So let me know in the comments what you think about this team. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Any questions you want to ask, any discussions you want to have in the comments, drop them in. And yeah, good luck for Matchday 3 with your Limitless chip.